Hello everybody. Welcome in to Watch Me Wednesday. How are you? It has been a while. You can see I typed in the comments there. If you could just drop a comment in and say hi, where you're from, that would be awesome, so that we can, everybody can say hi to one another. Maybe you'll know somebody who's popping in. That would be awesome. So it's been a little while because I've been having computer issues, and yes, I actually am still having computer issues, believe it or not. Computer's working fine, but they had installed a whole new battery and logic board, and the fan is still running constantly when I am using the computer. Right now, it is just running and running and running. So it all happened when I installed the new operating system, so I'm sure it has something to do with that. So guess what? Tomorrow, the computer is going back to the Genius Bar at the Apple Store to see if they can do anything else about it. I will be backing my computer up yet once again tonight so that we can get it working up to snuff. I can still work on it. It just gets really kind of annoying that the fan is running and it's quite hot. So I know it shouldn't be running like that because now I have all new parts. Anyway, that's why it took me, I couldn't do my Watch Me Wednesday last week because I had my computer. So anyway, in the meantime, this past weekend, my husband and I and a group of friends of mine and my son, which made it really exciting. We had quite an adventure this weekend. It was the second time for me. I hiked down into the Grand Canyon to the Colorado River on the South Kaibab Trail. We stayed overnight at Phantom Ranch in the cabin. And then the next day we hiked out of the canyon up Bright Angel Trail to the South Rim. So it was fantastic, and it was really special for me to be able to do it with my son. It was just a fantastic weekend. My legs were a little tired on Monday, but I'm back up to snuff now, and I am ready to show you a tutorial. In fact, what I'm going to be showing you today was a class that I just taught in Las Vegas. I went to my very first in-person retreat a couple weeks ago, and we had a fantastic time. And I taught the quilt behind me, and I know you've seen this up before because I showed a little improvisational tutorial a couple weeks ago. This quilt is not my pattern. It is my friend Claudia Files' pattern. She is a fellow designer with Island Batik, and it's a really nice, easy pattern to do, but I wanted to show you how to create the blocks. I'm not going to be giving you any yardage information or measurement information because it's all in the pattern, and it's copyrighted materials, so if you want to know all that information, you're going to have to purchase the pattern. I did put the link above me if you were on Facebook, and below me if you are on YouTube. Stitch in Heaven carries that, or you can go directly to Claudia Files' site, although she told me that her new site is not yet quite finished, so I'm not sure that you're going to be able to get it on her site, but I know Stitch in Heaven has it, and they may actually have some extra kits left too. If you can't find it on their site, please give them a call. Okay, so there's lots of people in. Hi everybody. And Claudia is here too. Awesome, Claudia. No, I don't see you because I can't invite you on screen yet. So Claudia is here. So everybody, welcome Claudia in. Say hello to her. She is the designer of the quilt behind me. And I don't know if I can get you on screen or not, but Claudia, you can certainly type in some comments if need be. I am going to do a Q&A at the end, and Claudia might be able to answer some of those questions as well. Again, I'm going to show you the tutorial. I'm going to show you different views. I'm not going to give you yardage amounts. I'm not going to give you measurements. That's all in the pattern. The pattern would need to be purchased through Stitch in Heaven or through Claudia. So let's get started, okay? First up, I want to show you a few little tips and techniques that I did while making the squares and the strip sets, okay? You're going to start off with a variety. I'm going to put you in the overhead view so you can see. And I'm going to pop me in here. And you're going to use a variety of sizes of strips, which is really kind of cool. So you're going to make strip sets. Now the strip sets, one of the things that I will tell you is that the strip sets are fat quarter width. So they are about 21 inches wide. And I can't get it all on the entire screen because the screen's not that large. But they're half, it's easier to make a strip set with about 21 inches of strip versus 44 inches. And you're going to combine a varying width of strips to get a really cool look. So they're not all going to be the same width, which is neat. But you do need to make the whole strip set a certain size. But one of the tips that I wanted to show you, because a couple weeks ago I showed you a little improvisational technique, and this kind of helps you to create those extra little strips. So you really can get 2 quilts out of one, which is super cool. The one thing you want to know is one end of your strip set should remain relatively even, okay? I'm going to move my square ruler out of the way for a second. This should remain relatively even, while the opposite end is not going to be quite even, and that's okay. But what we want to do when we're sewing the strip set so we don't get a wavy strip set, have you ever had like a strip set where it becomes wavy? We don't want that. So what you're going to do is, what I do is I go to that one end and I line that up with the end that I want fairly straight. And I don't pin, I'm not a pinner on this, it just makes it quicker. And then I'm going to align my edges. And I'm going to bring it to the sewing machine just like that. I'm not going to pin it or anything because I can adjust it along the way. Now the other end, as you can see, is not going to be even. But I'm going to sew down, so what I'm going to show you is the first strip set I sew down this way, this direction. The next strip I sew down the opposite direction. That prevents some of those wavy lines. So let's go over to the sewing machine and I'm going to talk about how we're going to go sew this. So I'm going to sew this one, again going from the opposite, because the first strip set was sewn this direction. The second one was sewn the opposite direction. So now I'm going the same direction. I have a 50 weight Aurifil thread in my sewing machine, and I have my sewing machine set to a stitch length of 2.0 because I like my stitch length a little bit tighter. And I have a 1/4 inch foot on my machine because we need to use the 1/4 inch foot. And I also have needle down position. That enables me not to pin the strip sets. Now, if you don't feel comfortable, you can certainly go ahead and pin your strip sets. But by putting that needle down in, that allows me to stop and adjust as I see fit. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to sew at a 1/4 inch. And you can see I'm just sewing the edge of that 1/4 inch foot. Now, when my machine stops with that needle down, you can see I can pivot. My sewing machine lifts up that foot there, so it allows me to make any adjustments that I can or have to make. In this way, I'm avoiding any pins or things like that. Now, when I get to the end, I'm going to want to press this. Now, obviously, I do not have my iron over here. As many of you know, my iron is over on the other side of the room. Sometimes I set it up here, but because this is a long strip set, I didn't want to set the iron up over here. I want to show you, I press after I sew every strip. And for efficiency's sake, this is one of those types of blocks and quilts that you want to strip, chain piece. So you would, if you're making 5 strip sets, 6 strip sets, you're going to just keep loading them in and you're going to keep chain piecing. because you'll get more strip sets complete by chain piecing than you will if you just do one strip set at a time. But for time's sake, I'm showing you one strip set at a time. Okay, let's go back to the overhead view. And then what you want to do, what I found in the pressing realm, I found that I liked pressing them all in one direction, okay? So this one, I'm going to finger press because, again, my iron is across the way. And I chose to do on my blocks, I chose to keep it as close to Claudia's pattern. Oops, there we go. Claudia's pattern, when I made the quilt behind me, as close to Claudia's pattern as I could as far as colors go. But if you have other colors that you want to choose to make it, you certainly can. The quilt, by her directions, comes out to approximately 73 by 89, so it's a nice size. One of the ladies at the retreat in Las Vegas, she actually made it king size, which was kind of cool. And she actually got the whole thing done. I don't know how she got it done in that amount of time, but she's just a speed sewer. Anyway, so I'm just finger pressing this. Now what we want to do is we want to add our next strip. And again, I am going to go ahead and I'm going to line it up with that one edge because I want to keep this one edge fairly straight again, remember? But I'm going to sew it from the opposite end, and they don't match. As you can see, one is longer than the other, and that's okay. I'm just going to flip it over like this, and I'm going to bring it to the sewing machine. If it doesn't match exactly at the other end, it's okay as long as it's relatively straight. So now we're going to go to the machine and we're going to sew this opposite direction. And again, this helps, I believe, to prevent that waviness that you might get. The other thing I am a big advocate of is I am a huge advocate of no steam. I use a dry iron until my blocks are completely done, and then I mist it with Mary Ellen's Best Press. I feel, especially on strip sets, and this is my preference, I feel that if you have steam or a wet iron, if you're doing any kind of pushing motion, you are going to distort those seams, which will also cause some waviness as well. So on all my quilting, I don't use steam. I wait until my blocks are complete, then I mist it with a little Mary Ellen's Best Press, and I just place the iron down on top to give it a nice clean press, okay? So that's how you are going to sew down the opposite direction, and you're going to get your strip set like so. Now you're going to keep on adding until you get that width that you need to make the block. So let me put this aside, and then I'm going to show you. So I completed another strip set. So here's strip set I completed already, and it is a beautiful purple to orange grouping. Now what you're going to need to do, so this is going to be tricky for me to show you here, but what you're going to need to do is you need to square up the one side. So you want to get that nice and even on that side before you cut your block. So let me see if I can get that all in the camera there. And what I'm going to do, whoops, I think there we go. Okay, I'm going to use this guy here because I can't get the whole block on. So what I do to square it up is the first cut, I do use the grid on my cutting mat. So I put the straight line of that strip on that grid, and I hang this edge over just a little bit over the vertical line. Not a lot, I just want to sliver trim that. So I'm going to go ahead and I am going to, here is my rotary cutter, and I'm going to go ahead and sliver trim this so it stays nice and even. Okay, then I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to trim down this block. Out of this strip set, I am going to get 2 blocks out of this. So I'm going to go ahead and I am going to trim off some of the top and the bottom of this block, and I'm lining up the vertical edge of where I want to trim down. Vertical edge here. Oops, let me pull it back in a little bit. There we go. Vertical edge there, and the horizontal edge at the bottom. And I'm going to trim off some of that top and the right side. So you're squaring it up by trimming the right side and the top. And then you're going to give it a quarter turn. See, there's not a lot that I'm trimming off there, okay? It's just a little bit. Then you're going to give it a turn so that the top and the right side are now down in the lower corner. And you're going to go ahead and trim that down yet again. Okay? You're going to trim it on the right side, if there's any to trim, and the top, again, if there's any to trim. And it's just a teeny tiny little bit. You can see it's not a lot. And then you're going to repeat the same. Again, now you have one block, and you're going to repeat it here. Now, I'm going to show you a little something that you'll use later. I'm going to go ahead and line up that horizontal and that vertical line where I want it and do my trimming. Okay. All right. Trimming that down. And I'm sorry for the closeness of the camera. I know you're probably not seeing the entire thing, but I think you get the idea. It's just that I don't have the depth here to show you the whole thing. Okay, so now we've got that trimmed up. So out of that strip set, you have 2 blocks, okay? And you have this little leftover piece here, okay? So that little leftover piece we really like a lot because this is where you're going to get possibly, potentially, another quilt. And this goes to my tutorial that I did a few weeks ago. Now these little strips here, they're going to measure in anywhere from about 1.25 inches to 1.5 inches, and it doesn't really matter what the measurement is. They can be 1 inch, they could be 1.25 inches, 1.5 inches, 2 inches. Doesn't really matter. But this is why you want to make sure that that one side stays even and the one side is a little off. So you end up with these little strips at the end, and I'll show you what I did with those later. Okay, so now you've got your blocks, and I'm going to show you actually with 2, let's see, blue blocks that I had made before. Okay, so now you've got your blocks, and they are ready to rock and roll to get to these half square triangle blocks that are beside me. So what you're going to do is you are going to, there's no matching of seams either here, which makes the quilt really cool because you don't have to match seams. So what you do is you're going to face them right sides together, okay? And I taught the class a little preview trick. So if you really like it, or if you're really not sure what it's going to look like, you're going to fold it back like this, and you can say, I like that combination. That's what my half square triangle is going to look like, and it's going to look like this on the other side. So you just kind of fold it in half on the diagonal, okay? Or if you don't like it, you can always flip it around and then try again and see if you like it this way. I kind of liked this big green down there, so I'm going to flip it back around. Now, the one thing you do not want to do is you do not want to have the one vertical block and one horizontal block, because if you do the preview, look what happens. You get 2 blocks that are both going on the horizontal. You don't want that. So these have to be horizontal to horizontal blocks. So see what I mean? So they're layered together in the same direction, okay? So you're going to layer them together, and then what you need to do is you're going to take your ruler and you're going to put it on the 45-degree angle, and you're going to draw a line. You're going to put that 45-degree angle coming down the vertical on the left-hand side of the block, and you are going to draw a line, down the middle, And it can be, you're going to go on the diagonal all the way down to the other corner, and it can be a permanent pen, it doesn't matter. This is a pen, not a pencil, because we're going to cut away on that line, okay? Now, once you have it that way, if you want to go ahead, you have a bunch of blocks you want to set up to chain piece, you go ahead and you can pin them together so that they're all ready. And I pin them on either side of that line a good distance away so that I can go ahead and sew. And you're going to sew 1/4 inch away from that line on either side. So let's head over to the sewing machine, and we're going to go down one side and back up the other. Now, if I had several blocks, I'd be feeding them in one after the other on these, okay? So that's super important. And it's definitely way more efficient to do it that way. So I'm just going to go down one side and then up the other. All right, it's out, going down the other side, and I'm just doing 1/4 inch away. So you start with 2 blocks and you're going to end with 2 blocks. You're going to start with 2 square blocks and you're going to end with 2 half square triangles. Okay. Oops. My camera on my battery must have gone on my overhead, so that's okay, or my close-up. So I'm sorry about that, but I was done anyway, so that's a good thing. All right, so let's go to the overhead camera so I can show you what we're going to do. Battery's good on there. Anyway, so we've got it down sewn, so let me zoom in a little bit here so you can see. Let's see. You can kind of see the stitching away. It's 1/4 inch away from there, so which is really nice. Okay, so now, all right, now we want to cut across on that line right on that line. Okay, now you've got your 2 sides, taking those pins out. I should have taken them out before, but that's okay, no big deal. Okay, so now you've got your 2 blocks and you're going to open them up, and there is your block. Now, couple of tips here. You can go ahead and you can press the seam open, or you can press it to one side. It really depends on how much bulk you have in there. I had most of my students pressing them open. I thought it laid a lot flatter, but you can go ahead and press it to one side. Once they're pressed, then you're going to go ahead and and I'm not going to cut it now because it's not pressed and I'm not going to get a good trim, but you're going to go ahead and you're going to lay your square up ruler on here, and you're going to square it down to the size that you want. Okay, so you're going to lay your 45-degree angle on, and you're going to trim up the right side across the top, turn it around, and repeat the process again, up the side and down or around the top. Okay, so that's how you make those square blocks. Now, I want to show you what I did with those other little blocks. Okay, so this you can see in my other tutorial. These are the little blocks that I made with these extra little pieces that we cut. So I had all these little strips, and I thought, well, we can make something fun with that. So I saved them all, and I made these little improvisational blocks. You can make a pillow, you could use a dark background or a light background, doesn't matter. You could do whatever you want. You can cut them twice, cut them across, intersect them, however, but you can do a tote bag, a pillow, shams, a bed runner, a full quilt. It's kind of fun that you have these little pieces because now you have something else, another little gift or coordinating piece that can go in the room with the quilt, whatever bed you're going to lay it on, if you're going to lay it on a bed. And even if you're not, how cute would that be? A nice little pillow made out of these. So you can catch that tutorial That one is on my YouTube channel, loaded up there. It was the last one, the last Watch Me Wednesday that I did before this one. So you can do that. So anyway, that's the tutorial today. So if you have any questions, put them in the comments here, and we're going to go ahead. I'm going to go back into the Claudia. She says, yes, Claudia, we'd love you to add some comments about color. So Claudia wants to add some comments about color. We would love to hear your comments about color. So if you're still here, put them in. And if you have any questions for me or for Claudia, type them in now, and we'll get them up on the screen so that we can go ahead and we can ask them and get them answered, because the designer is here, which is exciting. So the pattern looks like super fun. It is super fun. And it's a great way to use up a lot of those, fabrics that you have in your fabric bin. So, let me see who we've got in here. Let me scroll back and see if we've got any questions. And I know people are typing things in. There's a little bit of a delay on my side because it's about a 20-second delay. So I'll see your comments and things coming up in a minute. All right. I would love, so Claudia says, look at Claudia. I love you, Claudia. I hope everything's going well. By the way, Claudia is calling in from Germany, and I believe it is super late there too. So she's up past her bedtime, I think. So I would love to work with you, Claudia, again. Absolutely. All right, so Claudia is saying, let's see. Claudia is saying, color, please keep an eye on contrast and value. Absolutely. Definitely, when you're putting your fabrics together, definitely look at that contrast and the value that you're putting together with those strips. I chose, like I said, I chose to keep mine pretty close to what Claudia did on her cover sheet, and I did a kind of a gradation in the color rainbow. So I kept it kind of true to that. But I would like to make this quilt again in my latest fabric line, Blinded by Science. So there's pinks and there's purples and there's grays. So it's going to look very different than what you're seeing here. So definitely keep an eye on what you're using as far as colors and value. Oh, awesome. So Patty, Claudia, you're going to love this. So the little... these little blocks that I did with those extras. So Patty's saying she just finished her second sticks quilt top. Awesome. I love it. I would love for you to send me a picture of it, Patty. Oh, she just said we'll post it later. Awesome. Let's see. Claudia is saying, gradation is wonderful, but there should be one exciting color. And that is definitely one of the things that Claudia puts in the pattern for us. So if you see in the quilt behind me, let's see if I can turn this way. Anyway, you can see these little bright inserts here. There's little, so that's the little exciting pop, I believe, that Claudia is talking about, and she writes about that in her pattern. We've got a question here from Debbie. Debbie says, are there tips on the pattern for choosing the fabric? Claudia, can you answer that question? I believe she talks about the bright colors, and I don't remember off the top of my head because I made this weeks ago, so I don't know. Claudia is saying your favorite ones. So what I would do, so since it's your favorite ones, I love it. So what I would do, as far as picking your fabrics and choosing your fabrics, if a color speaks to you, if it's something that you really like Claudia says, a favorite color, start there. Start with that favorite color and then kind of build off of that. And then you'll see when you start getting into that rhythm of pulling fabrics, what really works for you and what doesn't. I think that's a great way to go about it. You just pick your favorite color first and then just work off of there. Claudia made this 2 years ago. Awesome. So let's see. Jean is asking a question. Is the stripe insert incorporated in the pattern? So you're talking, Jean, I'm imagining you're talking about the black and white here. Yes, Claudia talks about how to put that together. It is actually pieced. We decided to cheat a little bit, Claudia, and I hope that's okay. We decided to use an actual striped fabric, so we didn't have to piece it. And it worked well for us, but you can certainly piece any kind of black and whites that you have to create this, and she tells you how to do that in the pattern. That she does tell you how to do, but because of the sake of time, I cheated. So, oops, but it worked. So let's see, Claudia says, yes, grab your favorite fabrics. Batiks are perfect, and they are perfect. So you can, that striped insert, really, it's going to be a personal preference for you, I think. If you want to piece it, and you guys know how much black and white fabrics I have, I certainly can piece that, and I might do that in the second quilt that I make. I had a really, really tight deadline on making it, so I cheated. But sometimes we do that. And Claudia said, I never cheat. No, I guess it's really not cheating. It was just a time saver for me at the time. So it worked out really well, and I think it looks pretty good. And I think what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to use what I have left over, and I'm going to use it for the binding on this. I haven't quilted it yet. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to use it for the binding too, because I think that would look kind of fun as a little pop at the edge of the quilt as well. So that's my plan. So you'll have to wait and see it quilted. Now Claudia quilted hers, by the way. She actually, you could see the quilting. Let me see if I can hold it up to the other camera. Hang on. So I don't know if you could see it on the pattern. Whoop, there we go. If you could see the quilting, it's like circular quilting. I'm not sure if you can really see it or not, but it's an overall edge-to-edge design, which I think is perfect for it. I'm probably going to do the same. I'm going to probably do a similar edge-to-edge design. I think that it's perfect for a quilt like this. So, you know, that's my plan. I don't see a reason to do anything really custom on this quilt. It's going to be one of those quilts that get used, and I think, and I hope he's not listening, I think I'm going to be giving this quilt to my son, because he's actually asking me for, I made him a lap size quilt, which he doesn't consider a lap size quilt because he's 6'3". It barely covers him. And I made him an extra large king. A lot of you will remember my scrappy quilt that I made for him. So he wants something in between, and I think this will fit the bill. So he may get this one, and I'll make another one for myself. So anyway, so if there are no other questions, I'm going to wrap it up. Again, I will be here every other week. So just remember, I know I was scheduled to be here next week, but because we had to move last week because of my computer mishap, I'm going to continue to go every other week. So I will see you all in 2 weeks. I will have another tutorial. Rod and I are going on another hiking adventure on Saturday. We are so excited because this one got postponed from last year. So I'm really, really looking forward to this weekend. But I will be busy sewing when I get back, and I will see you all in 2 weeks. Claudia's got one other thing here. Let's see. Claudia is saying, I will post actual pictures here of my personal quilting as soon as possible. That would be awesome. We would love to see your personal quilting close-ups. That would be great, Claudia. And then if you post them here in the comments, or even if you send them to me via email, or tag me in a post, then I can repost them so that I can share them with everybody as well, so that they can see what you did for the quilting. That would be fantastic. So, missing you too, Claudia. Missing Quilt Market, do you believe it? We haven't had a Quilt Market in a while. So I hope to see you soon, Claudia, and I hope you stay well. And by the way, if you guys are not following Claudia on Facebook or on Instagram, please go over and follow her page and follow her on Instagram. you will get to see her beautiful new lovely space that she quilts in. It is absolutely to die for. So definitely go follow her. I can put her the link to her Facebook and to her Instagram there, so definitely follow her. That would be awesome. Okay, so listen, everybody, thanks for joining me. Happy quilting. I love you all. Take care, and you guys have a great week. Bye-bye, everybody.